Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again with a bit of a slightly different take on accuracy stacking and my first jug in a good long time. So this character here is hit based and then poison, Toxic Rain, using accuracy stack to achieve all of our damage and attack speed, and it's in the form of a jug. So if you are unaware of how accuracy stack works, basically there's a ritual boot that gives you lightning damage per 200 accuracy, and the jug ascendancy that gives some attack speed for accuracy as well. So if you stack accuracy typically to about 60,000 plus, you will have a lot of lightning damage and a lot of attack speed, and then it's up to you what you do with that beyond that point. Most end up playing something like Molten Strike, Lightning Strike, and in this case there are a lot nowadays doing Widowhail with something like Tornado Shot as well. This character is using Widowhail, but it is using just a damage over time quiver and Toxic Rain in the poison format. So normally Toxic Rains stack levels, they stack just damage over time, efficiency, effectiveness, etc. And damage over time multiplier. This character is instead scaling poison and using the new Toxic Rain that doesn't have a inherent damage over time to it. It is just a hit base. It has a slightly larger hit number to begin with, a couple more arrows, and then we turn it into poison, and it does some pretty good damage when it overlaps. The resulting character is a fairly thick, fairly satisfying, enjoyable gameplay that does have some good damage as well. I think it's the best Toxic Rain damage I've probably ever had. We're talking something like 10 million DPS. It's taken on a bunch of Ubers, and it's very safe and reliable for a lot of those. And I've tried to make it somewhat thick as well. Since it is a jug, I am using the armor node for double armor. I am using the Ellie as armor node to get some Ellie damage taken as well, running a brass dome, so with like 82, 83 max res, and then camped on spell suppress as well. So the passive tree is a bit weird. It's gonna look quite different to what most passive trees would look like, and it is using some fairly conventional accuracy stacking tech, but with some quite different takes and spins on the whole thing. One thing that I'd say a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know, is that the double armor node for the chest armor slot does work with the Wildwood Ascendancy and also the Jug Ascendancy. So just putting on like 4k armor brass dome, you go from 4 to 8 to all of a sudden 16. It like quadruples it, and it is crazy. So we have no gems in our chest for that purpose. We've also got no gems in our boots, and I'm also utilizing the new amulet for additional accuracy per empty slot. And with all of that combined, we get a lot of extra accuracy and a lot of extra armor from the Wildwood Ascendancy as well as the Jug Ascendancy. So it ends up being pretty cracked, and it is fun to some extent, having a bunch of defense for a change. So I've made some defensive characters, but Jug does seem to be typically on another level, and there still isn't a whole bunch of life in this build, but there doesn't need to be, and that is quite typically how people build Jugs now. At least for accuracy stackers, you get like 3 to 4k life, but then you become near unkillable. I wouldn't say I'm unkillable or even really near unkillable, but with life gain on hit, and I'm only using the life gain on hit from the passive tree, so there's 5, and then the 15% chance to, or is it 10%, to do 150. That gives us damn near infinite sustain. As long as I'm attacking, getting a lot of overlaps, then we do become pretty close to unkillable, thanks to all of the extra other defense I've got. 100k plus armor, suppress, the jug nodes, etc. It does become pretty thick. Degens do end up being your weak point, and of course there are plenty of those in the game, so it is something you still have to avoid. But by level 80, I was already trying my first simulacrum and got to wave 28 with a fairly incomplete character. So at this stage it should be, I'd say, pretty decent for wave 30 simulacrums. though I haven't tried it. Instead, just went ahead and did a bunch of like guardians and four-ways and did some pretty thick content with that, like all kinds of poorly rolled or highly rolled for these types of maps and four-way things, and you can take hits and you can do some pretty good damage. So in the end, I did just kind of face tank or limit test a lot of things and just try and tank a lot of things. And the result was pretty good. So plenty of Ubers down, plenty of endgame down, very smooth, rather relaxing experience. I do typically prefer my run and gun avoid situation and just lots of DPS. Keeps you on your toes, a bit more fun, engaged playstyle, but just for mapping, I was doing a lot of wildwood juicing, like 5-6k plus, and then a lot of beyond and all that, and just cruising through, and it did feel pretty nice, pretty comfortable for mapping. So still going to do that for a little bit as well, because it is quite fun. And Thicc Rain itself, the only real downside is it does kind of shit on your visibility, so you won't be able to see too much when you're like spamming your spore pods. And this is without any ballistas as well. A usual Thicc Rain, I would say, would have some ballistas too, on top of all of your own spam. And I'm not even using an MTX right now, because using any MTX will just shit on my bitrate even harder, and then you'll be able to see even less. So yeah, it's kind of just the default situation. But as you can see, Uber damage is not too shabby for a Thicc Rain anyway. It's not typically known for its large amount of single target damage. But it can do pretty well. We do also have Berserk coming in from the Tincture, since we have all damage can poison Tincture, and then some Berserk proccing from that, from the overlaps. One thing I will say, I was supposed to get 39% area, is what everyone was telling me, for good overlaps, and that's roughly what I had. I had 40% throughout this entire playthrough. I did test with like 30% instead for some Ubers, and I couldn't really tell a difference. So I don't know if there's a strict need for that area. Maybe there is, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I'm not sure you actually need a proper 39. At least I killed a bunch of Ubers without the 39 just to test that it was still fine. Either way, so far so good, and yeah, I mean, I think the character's pretty much done, and I can show off to you the whole end result. So let me show you how I built this character up to this point. So we've got level 94 Jug called Proto555 Rain, Proto555 being a pretty notoriously toxic Twitch chatter who wanted me to play this type of build, and yeah, it just means Toxic Rain. Yep. So it is, like I said, a Jug and accuracy stack, and as previously mentioned, accuracy stack functions off of this type of boot, 1 to 6 lightning per 200 accuracy, and also the Jug notable undeniable, which you can steal and do a berserker, which would be infinitely more expensive because everyone values this thing quite highly. So you gain attack speed per 150 accuracy, and my build at the moment, when I crit, has about 56k accuracy. So most accuracy stackers, you'll see we have about 60 to 70k, and then you can hit like 100k plus, but to get to these really accuracy high levels, you need to most likely do Adorned. So the Adorned jewel as per always, and then stack accuracy abyssals, and then like voices across the tree. So it'll be quite different. This is what a rather usual accuracy tree is going to look like. Seems to be pretty common to do a brutal restraint over here to give a lot of dexterity for these nodes, and then give transcendent spirit a go in these two nodes. So as you can see, 1870 accuracy from this node and 1670 accuracy from this node. And then the brutal restraint itself, you can put whatever you want on there. I just did some poison faster so that poisons go a bit faster, clears a little bit nicer. Other than that, you usually just do whatever. You like pick up all the accuracy nodes that you can, because they are very valuable to you. And then if you're doing flat lightning damage or something, you get some crit, you get some lightning, whatever. My build is poison. It is Toxic Rain. Like I said, there's this life gain and hit. That's all my sustain. And other than that, yep, we've also kept suppress. And I'm using a unnatural instinct for these nodes once again. Nothing too crazy otherwise, but it was very interesting to see that, like I said, the unbreakable node doubles your body armor, and then this one here also doubles it, which results in 4 times, which is pretty damn thick. So brass dome is used in this template, and it's got 4.2k armor to begin with, which then gets doubled, quadrupled, crazy. 5 to all max res, and that currently leaves me with 57k armor without a flask up. With a flask up, we're rocking 86k. And I've got like no armor investment whatsoever, pretty much, I think. So huge base for armor. All we've got is a determination, and that gives us an absolutely large base for armor. The whole build is based around Widowhail, which has nothing on it, but then you grab a quiver with some damage over time with some accuracy, so that accuracy implicit gets boosted, and then the accuracy on the quiver itself also gets boosted, and then some damage over time, some life. It's a pretty large base for Widowhailing, since we're not going to get really too much accuracy if we just did a regular bow and then a quiver by itself. So it's probably the way forward, but I don't know, maybe there's better examples out there. Like I said, I'm also using Untouched Soul, so qualityed up. You got 270 accuracy per empty green socket, so currently we've got 4 there and another 4 there. You can keep tainted chroming a brass dome or just forcing it through the crafting bench with an uncorrupted one, but I got 4 and 2 here, and that was fine through tainted chromes. Get a bit of extra life as well, why not? So I'm running that. I'm running Darkness Enthroned for a bit of accuracy, life, avoid poison, damage over time, some quality of life stuff there. And then this is what I was testing with less area, because this was the jewel that was giving me... this is the jewel I was running the entire character. Gives some life, gives some cold res, and then that 10% increased area. Without it, I'm at 30 area. With it, I'm at 40. Suppose I need 39 for overlaps or something on AoE, but I don't know. Maybe that's not necessary. And then, of course, Corrupted Blood Immune. So my other point of area is from the hat. Fractured hat. Just rolled it until we got Suppress. So used Attack Craft on the bench and until I got Suppress. Yeah, then 10 area on the crafting bench prefix. So that combined with our 20 area here means that, yeah, we've got 40% area. Other than that, I picked up Oscarms, the pair that had Temporal Chains and Despair on hit, and then that means that with a second curse from Whispers of Doom, I do Temp Chains and Despair automatically for both on every hit. And they're also a nice glove for a bunch of extra accuracy. They do that Assassin Mark thing, but it shouldn't matter because Temp Chains and Despair seem to override that all the time. So, yeah. Obviously, if you can't get this type of glove, then, you know, you don't need it. You could do a pair of Asenaths. I think I did that for a while as well. Let me see if I've got the right ones laying around somewhere. I think they're going to be these. Yep, Asenaths, Despair on hit. Temp Chains, you'll also have some explosions. But realistically, it might be better to actually self-curse a Despair and just have a Temp Chains on hit from some kind of glove. So you could still do an Oscarm, could do a Snake Pit, and stack some Frenzies as well. The Temp Chains on hit is pretty nice. The Despair you can self-curse and also do a Balance of Terror for automatic withers, but the way I've tried to solve wither here is Mana Forged, Toxic Rain of Withering, and then a Frenzy. So that's my Mana Forged setup there. So every time I'm attacking, you will see some Frenzy or some Toxic Rains. So the purple pods are the Mana Forged ones that are coming out. So that's how we get Withering going, and then also with this node, that will hopefully give us 15 debuffs some of the time. If not all of the time, who knows. Then got an unset ring, so I could fit in some extra stuff without using sockets there. It's got Berserk there, otherwise it is just a fractured accuracy that I then used Chaos rerolls until I got an attack of accuracy addition, and then locked suffix, did a prefix with Veil. Grabbed a Circle of Nostalgia with an accuracy implicit that also has Chaos Res and Chaos Damage while using Herald of Agony. So this one solves a lot of my Chaos Res and a lot of my extra damage. And then, yeah, boots were just rolled with Chaos rerolls from Harvest Bench, and they don't do anything too special. And then, yeah, that's where it's at. And I think that's the whole gear. So I did run a Tincture for all damage can poison, because otherwise all my damage is pretty much lightning. As you can see, most of it is lightning. And then we have the Rage on hit there, which does generate rage pretty well when we're actually standing still and overlapping on something. Otherwise, you're not going to have too much rage most of the time. And then Flasks just for a bit of extra speed, and they do sustain. With 3 charges when you hit, we get hit plenty. Otherwise, I've also picked up a Watcher's Eye that gives me Flask charge when you deal a crit with precision, and additional fizz reduction while using determination. My auras there are Determination, War Banner, Herald of Agony, and Precision. And the links are as follows: Toxic Rain of Spore Burst, Vicious Proj, Deadly Armets, Unbound Helmets, Mirage Archer, and Inspiration. I did also test not having Mirage Archer and used Volatility instead. It's similar amount of DPS. You get more if you pre-fire, while Mirage Archer is nicer when you're moving around. So in the end, Mirage Archer, I think, makes sense. And if you're not doing, empty socket tech, then you could also have like a big ballista setup. That will probably result in a lot more damage, but fuck it, we are just going double armor and not having to worry about ballistas. Other than that, I've also got Blink Arrow, Herald of Agony, War Banner, and Precision over there. And the Ascendancy choices were that first, and then I think I went that second, then that, and then my last one was either Regen or Endurance. And I would normally have gone for this node, and it would probably feel pretty good, but given that pretty much all of my Regen and recovery is taken care of with Life Gain on hit, I just decided to take the Endurance to help fix the rest of my resists, because otherwise I'm a little bit uncapped without Endurance charges up. And that, I think, in turn, is basically the build. Accuracy Stacking Jug, very successful style of build that you can see some crazy examples of, but we are talking sky's the limit on this type of a build. You can sink 10 mirrors in and get 10 mirrors worth of character out of it, or you can sink, just a few dozen divines and get a very strong character as well. This one is Toxic Rain Poison, bit of a different thing to what everyone else was doing, but still successful all the same, and I think a pretty decent way of actually playing Toxic Rain as well. Don't know where the regular Toxic Rains are at the moment, but this one, viable, usable, and pretty damn good. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed the character. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.